A human boy took an ancient alien princess as his bride. What unfolded that night left him speechless. The forest behind Ethan's cabin had always been peaceful, but tonight it blazed with an otherworldly light. He grabbed his flashlight and rushed toward the source, heart pounding as branches whipped against his jacket. What he found defied explanation. A vessel of gleaming silver metal sat embedded in the earth, still smoking from its violent descent. Strange symbols pulsed across its surface in fading amber light. Ethan approached cautiously, every rational thought screaming at him to call the authorities. But curiosity and something deeper, more instinctual, pulled him forward. A section of the hull had torn open during impact. He peered inside and froze. She was the most extraordinary being he'd ever seen. Her skin was a deep, luminous purple that seemed to shimmer in the dim light, like twilight given form. Flowing hair cascaded past her shoulders in striking waves of black threaded with golden highlights that caught the light like precious metal. She wore garments of a material he couldn't identify, elegant, form-fitting, clearly meant for someone of importance. And she was hurt. "Hey," Ethan called softly, climbing through the opening. "Can you hear me?" Her eyelids fluttered. When her eyes opened, he caught his breath. They were violet, deep and endless as the night sky, with an intelligence that was unmistakably aware despite her obvious pain. She spoke words that sounded like music and wind chimes, completely incomprehensible yet achingly beautiful. Her delicate hand reached toward him, trembling. Ethan made a decision that would change everything. "Okay," he said gently, carefully sliding his arms beneath her. She was lighter than he expected, but solid, real, warm against his chest. "I've got you. You're safe now." She seemed to understand his tone, if not his words. Her head rested against his shoulder as he carried her from the wreckage, and he felt her relax slightly in his arms. The walk back to his cabin felt surreal. Here he was, Ethan Clark, a 28-year-old wilderness guide living alone in rural Montana, carrying an alien woman, an alien princess. If her regal bearing was any indication to safety, inside his cabin, he laid her on his bed with utmost care. She watched him with those incredible violet eyes as he retrieved his first aid kit, though he had no idea if anything he possessed could help her. When he dampened a cloth with water and gently cleaned a cut on her forehead, she caught his wrist. Her touch sent an electric current through him. She pressed his hand to her chest, over her heart, and spoke again. Though he couldn't understand the words, the meaning transcended language. "Thank you." 3 days passed in a blur of discovery and wonder. Zylara, she'd taught him her name through patient repetition, healed remarkably fast. By the second day, she was walking around the cabin, touching everything with childlike fascination. Books, the coffee maker, his guitar, each object seemed to delight her. On the third evening, she sat across from him at the small dining table, something clutched in her delicate hand. It was a device from her ship, salvaged during one of Ethan's trips to retrieve supplies from the wreckage. She activated it, and suddenly words appeared in the air between them, holographic translations. "That made communication possible at last. Ethan Clark," she said, his name accented beautifully by her melodic voice. "I must tell you something of great importance." He leaned forward, captivated by the way the firelight played across her purple skin, making her seem to glow from within. "I'm listening. On my world, Andara, there's an ancient law dating back 10,000 years. She paused, her violet eyes searching his face. "When a member of the royal family is saved from certain death, that savior becomes bonded to them. Legally, spiritually, in all ways that matter." Ethan's coffee cup stopped halfway to his lips. "Bonded, married, in your terms." Her golden threaded hair fell forward as she looked down. "I was fleeing an arranged marriage to a cruel prince from a neighboring system. My ship malfunctioned during the escape. When you pulled me from that wreckage, when you brought me to safety and tended my wounds." She met his gaze again. "You became my husband by Andar-in-law." The cabin fell silent except for the crackling fire. "I know this is not what you chose," Zylara continued quickly. "I can attempt to contact my people, request an annulment based on—" "Wait," Ethan interrupted, his mind racing. "Just wait, let me think." He stood, pacing to the window. Outside, stars scattered across the Montana sky, stars she'd come from. This beautiful, gentle woman who'd spent the past 3 days teaching him words in her language. laughing at his terrible pronunciation, sharing meals he'd cooked with an enthusiasm that made his simple pasta seem like a feast. She could have been cold, demanding, entitled. Instead, she'd helped him wash dishes. She'd sat beside him in comfortable silence. She'd hummed alien melodies that made his chest ache with their beauty. "What if," he said slowly, turning back to her, "I don't want an annulment." Hope flickered across her exquisite features. "Ethan, I'm not saying I understand all this. Yesterday, I thought I was alone in the universe. But Zylara," he crossed to her, kneeling beside her chair, "since you've been here, this cabin has felt more like a home than it ever has. If there's even a chance that what I'm feeling isn't crazy." She cupped his face with her hand, her touch impossibly soft. "It is not crazy. I feel it too. This pull between us. Then maybe," he said, covering her hand with his, "we should see where this goes." Her smile was radiant, transforming her already beautiful face into something that stole his breath. "There's a ceremony," she whispered. "If you truly wish this, show me." The next 2 weeks became the most extraordinary of Ethan's life. Each morning, he woke to find Zylara already awake, standing at the window watching the sunrise paint the mountains gold. She'd told him that Andara had 3 suns, but she found Earth's single star rising over the peaks intimately. Beautiful, a phrase that lingered in his mind long after she'd said it. They fell into routines that felt ancient, and knew all at once. Ethan taught her to cook human food. She approached it like a science, asking questions about every ingredient, every technique. When she successfully flipped a pancake for the first time, her delighted laughter filled the kitchen, and he realized he'd never heard a sound quite so perfect. "On Andara, we consume nutrition tablets," she explained, taking a bite of her creation. Her eyes widened. Ethan, this is wonderful. So much better than tablets. Wait until you try chocolate." He grinned. In exchange, she taught him about the cosmos. On clear nights, they'd sit on the cabin's porch, wrapped in blankets against the mountain cold, while she pointed out stars and told him their stories. "That one you call at Sirius orbits near the Velara cluster. I visited there as a child." Her voice grew soft with memory. "And there, that cluster you call the Pleiades? The 3rd planet hosts the most beautiful crystal gardens. They sing when the wind blows through them." Ethan watched her face more than the stars. The way her purple skin seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence when she grew excited. Patterns of light dancing beneath the surface like auroras. The graceful movements of her body as she gestured toward the heavens. The genuine wonder in her violet eyes. One afternoon, he brought out his guitar. Zylara sat cross-legged on the floor, completely entranced as he played. When he finished a simple melody, she reached for the instrument. "May I?" He handed it to her, showing her how to position it. Her approach was methodical at first, but within minutes, she was coaxing sounds from the strings that he'd never imagined possible. The music she created was alien, yet hauntingly beautiful, full of longing and hope. When she finished, tears streaked her purple cheeks. "That was my mother's favorite song," she whispered. "I never thought I'd play it again." Ethan pulled her close, and she came willingly, fitting against him as though they were made to hold each other. Her hair smelled like starlight and something floral he couldn't name. "Tell me about her," he said softly. And she did. As afternoon faded to evening, Zylara shared stories of her childhood on Andar, the crystal palaces, the floating gardens, her mother's wisdom and her father's strength. In turn, Ethan told her about growing up in Montana, about losing his parents young, about choosing solitude in these mountains. "You were lonely," she observed, her hand finding his. He admitted. "I didn't realize how much until you arrived." She shifted to face him fully, their knees touching. The space between them hummed with electricity. "Ethan Clark, I must confess something." His heart hammered. "What?" "When I fled my world, I thought I was running from a prison, an unwanted marriage, a life of duty without choice." Her fingers traced patterns on his palm. "But the ancient laws they gave me you. Perhaps the universe is not so cruel after all." "Zylara," she leaned closer, her breath warm against his lips. "The ceremony I mentioned, I wish to perform it, not from obligation, but from desire. I wish to be truly yours." The confession hung between them, heavy with possibility. Ethan cupped her face, his thumb brushing across her purple cheek. When, tonight, she breathed, under your single sun's stars, he closed the distance between them, kissing her for the first time. She melted against him with a soft sound of surrender, her arms winding around his neck. When they finally broke apart, her skin glowed with those beautiful bioluminescent patterns, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. Tonight, he agreed, his voice rough with emotion. The Montana night wrapped around them like velvet as Zylara led Ethan to the clearing. Behind his cabin, she'd spent the afternoon preparing, gathering stones and arranging them in a perfect circle beneath the open sky. She wore a gown she'd created from materials in her ship fabric that seemed woven from starlight itself, shifting between deep purple and silver with her every movement. Her black and golden hair cascaded freely down her back, adorned with tiny luminescent crystals that caught the moonlight. Ethan had never seen anything more beautiful. In Andoran tradition, she explained, her voice trembling slightly with anticipation. A bonding ceremony must occur beneath open stars. We believe the universe itself bears witness. She handed him a small vial containing an opalescent liquid that swirled with its own inner light. We each drink and speak our truth. The elixir connects our life forces, our very essences. After tonight, I will always know when you are happy, sad, afraid. And you will know me the same way. Ethan took the vial, studying it. And if I drink this, there's no going back? No, she whispered. We would be bound, Ethan, forever. He should have been terrified. 3 weeks ago, he'd been alone, convinced he'd spend his life that way. Now he stood on the precipice of something that defied every law of nature he'd ever known. But when he looked at Zylara, at the hope and vulnerability shining in her violet eyes, at the way she trembled as she waited for his answer, he'd never been more certain of anything. Then let's begin. Relief and joy flooded her face, those beautiful bioluminescent patterns illuminating her purple skin. She took his hands, and together they stepped into the circle of stones. The ceremony was simple yet profound. They each drank from the vial, the liquid tasting like honey and lightning on Ethan's tongue. Immediately, warmth spread through his chest, and he gasped as he felt Zylara's emotions flowing into him. Like a second heartbeat, her love, her nervousness, her absolute certainty that this was right. Ethan Clark, she said formally, though her voice shook with emotion. I choose you. Across galaxies, across all the infinite possibilities of the universe, I choose this moment. One choose you, Zylara. He replied, gripping her hands tighter. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that every day with you has been extraordinary. I choose you too. Always. The connection between them flared brilliant and strong. Zylara's patterns blazed across her skin like living galaxies, and when she kissed him, it was like touching stardust. They sank to the soft grass together, the stars wheeling overhead. Ethan traced the glowing patterns on her shoulders, her collarbone, fascinated by how they pulsed brighter beneath his touch. You're incredible. He breathed against her neck. She arched into him, her fingers tangling in his hair. As are you, my husband. The word sent electricity through them both. Husband, wife, bonded across the cosmos. Their lovemaking was tender and exploratory, a dance of discovery. Every touch revealed something new. The way she shivered when he kissed the curve of her throat. How her skin grew warmer as passion built between them. The musical sounds she made as they moved together. Through their new bond, Ethan felt everything she felt, the wonder, the pleasure, the overwhelming rightness of their union. It magnified everything, creating a feedback loop of sensation and emotion that left them both gasping. When they finally lay tangled together beneath the stars, her head on his chest and his fingers combing through her golden threaded hair, Zylara traced patterns on his skin. I can feel your heartbeat, she murmured. Even when we're apart, I'll always feel it now, and I'll feel yours. He kissed her forehead. We really did this. We're married. We are. She lifted her head, her violet eyes meeting his. Ethan, I need you to understand something. My people will come looking for me eventually. When they do, we'll face it together. He interrupted firmly. Whatever comes, we're in this together now. She smiled, radiant and relieved. Together, she echoed. As they lay beneath the infinite stars, their bond glowing steady and true between them, Ethan realized he'd never believed in fate before. But how else could he explain finding her? How else could he explain the way she fit perfectly in his arms? As though the universe itself had designed them for each other? "I love you," he whispered into the night. "And I love you," she replied, her voice full of wonder. "My unexpected husband, my Ethan." 3 months of bliss passed before the sky above Ethan's cabin lit up with descending ships. He and Zylara stood together on the porch, his arm around her waist, as 3 sleek Enderan vessels settled in the clearing. Through their bond, he felt her anxiety mixed with determination. "Remember," she whispered, squeezing his hand. "We face this together." The lead ship's door opened, and a tall figure emerged, clearly Enderan, with deep indigo skin and silver hair. Behind him came guards and officials, all staring at the couple with expressions ranging from shock to disapproval. "Princess Zylara," the indigo-skinned man said formally, "I am Ambassador Theron. Your father, King Valoran, has sent the entire royal fleet searching for you. We detected your ship's signature 3 days ago." Zylara stepped forward, regal despite her simple earth clothing. "Ambassador Theron, I appreciate my father's concern. However, I am no longer lost. I am precisely where I choose to be. Your Highness, you cannot possibly mean to stay here, on this primitive world." With this, Theron's gaze fell on Ethan with barely concealed disdain. "With my husband," Zylara said firmly, pulling Ethan forward. "This is Ethan Clark. He saved my life, and by our oldest laws, we are bonded." Murmurs rippled through the Enderan delegation. Theron's expression shifted from disdain to shock. "Bonded? You performed the ritual? But Your Highness, you were promised to Prince Kael. This marriage was to unite 2 systems. Prevent war, a war that Prince Kael himself has been secretly orchestrating." Zylara interrupted. "Did you truly think I fled without reason? I have evidence data I retrieved before my escape proving Kael planned to assassinate my father. After our wedding and seize both thrones, the revelation sent the delegation into chaos." Theron demanded to see the evidence, which Zylara provided via a data crystal she'd kept hidden. As the ambassador reviewed it, his face darkened. If this is genuine, it changes everything." "It is genuine," Zylara assured him, "and it is why I can never return as merely a princess bound by others' plans. Ambassador, I propose an alternative." She stood taller, every inch the royal she'd been born to be. "Earth is on the cusp of joining the galactic community. They simply don't know it yet. I propose that Andara establishes the first formal alliance with this world, not through conquest or colonization, but through partnership, through mutual respect and shared knowledge." "And you would facilitate this?" Theron asked carefully. "I would lead it," Zylara corrected. "As Princess of Andara and wife to a man of Earth, I am uniquely positioned to bridge our worlds. Ethan has shown me the beauty of this planet, the potential of its people, and I can offer Earth the stars." Ethan felt his heart swell with pride through their bond. This was his Zylara, brilliant, brave, refusing to be limited by others' expectations. Theron studied them both for a long moment. "Your father will need to approve this." "Then contact him now," Zylara said. "I am ready to speak with him." The negotiation that followed lasted hours. King Valoran appeared via holographic communication, his purple skin and golden-crowned head marking him as Zylara's father. His anger melted to relief when he saw his daughter safe, then concern as she explained everything. But Zylara was persuasive, passionate, and prepared. She painted a vision of Earth-Enderan cooperation that could reshape both worlds. She spoke of cultural exchange, technological advancement, and mutual protection against threats like Prince Kael. And she made it clear she would not abandon Ethan. Not for duty, not for tradition, not for anything. Finally, as dawn broke over the Montana mountains, King Valoran agreed. "You have your mother's fire," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "Very well, daughter. You will be our ambassador to Earth. But Zylara, be careful. You're proposing something that has never been done before. The best things never have been." "Father," she replied, smiling as the delegation prepared to depart to return with supplies, translators, and everything needed to establish a formal embassy. Theron approached Ethan. "You truly love her?" the ambassador asked quietly. "More than I thought possible," Ethan answered honestly. Then perhaps the universe is wiser than we know. Theron extended his hand in the Earth custom Xylara had taught him. Protect her, Ethan Clark. She is precious beyond measure. I will, always, after the ships departed. Ethan and Xylara stood watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. So, Ethan said, pulling her close, we're starting an intergalactic alliance from my cabin in Montana. Xylara laughed, the sound like music. We will need a larger headquarters eventually. Eventually, he agreed. But for now, she said, turning in his arms to face him, I want to watch the sunrise with my husband. Tomorrow, we change the world. Today, we simply exist in this moment. Through their bond, Ethan felt her contentment, her love, her absolute certainty that they were exactly where they were meant to be. He kissed her as the sun crested the mountains, bathing them in golden light. Around them, the forest awakened with birdsong. Above them, the stars faded but didn't disappear. They were simply waiting for night to return. And somewhere out there, Earth was about to discover it wasn't alone in the universe. But none of that mattered quite as much as this. Xylara in his arms, their hearts beating in synchronized rhythm. Two souls from different worlds who'd found their home in each other. I love you, Ethan whispered. And I love you, Xylara replied. My unexpected gift from the stars. My everything, together. They walked back to their cabin ready to face whatever the future held. Together. They would bridge worlds. Together. They were home. The end.